Okay, let's dive straight into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something absolutely fascinating, the hidden powers of the quiet mind. You know, society loves to tell us that brilliance is loud, right? It's the loudest voice in the room or the fastest talker. But, as we're going to see, behavioral science tells a completely different story. We're going to explore how true intellect and real, deep resilience actually reveal themselves quietly in our everyday habits.
So let me ask you, have you ever felt just a bit out of sync with the world? Like you're operating on a slightly different frequency? Well, if you've ever looked around and felt like you process reality differently than the crowd, trust me, you are far from alone. Psychology actually shows that feeling different or even disconnected is incredibly common for people with rare, highly observant psychological profiles. It's not a flaw, no way. It's simply a different mental operating system, one that is intensely, almost hyper-attuned to the environment around you.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core disconnect we experience literally every single day. Society absolutely loves to reward loudness, right? Predictable career paths, blurting out immediate answers. But what psychology actually reveals is that the true markers of high-level cognitive processing, their quietness, their supreme adaptability, and reflective thinking. You know, we've basically been programmed to value the flash and the noise. But real lasting power, that's built on a quiet, incredibly stable foundation.
Because here's the thing, true intelligence quietly appears in your everyday behavioral patterns. It's rarely about showing off facts or dominating a conversation. Actually, scratch that. It's never really about that. It shows up in how you react to the world on a daily basis. It's the habit of asking highly precise questions. It's noticing those tiny contradictions in a meeting that literally everyone else glides right past, simply because your brain is constantly, automatically testing information to see if it logically aligns.
Now, having this kind of highly observant mind, it definitely creates a very unique kind of social friction. As the saying goes, people aren't intimidated by what you do, they're intimidated by what they think you see. And it's so true. Highly observant, quiet minds often unconsciously make other people nervous. You aren't doing anything aggressive at all, but your intense awareness, people feel it. It can actually shift the entire dynamic of a room without you saying a single word. Think about it. When you have this profile, have you noticed people often start over-explaining themselves to you? They just rush to fill the quiet moments, while you're sitting there perfectly comfortable letting the silence just exist. And when you do speak, you speak with certainty because you aren't desperately seeking external approval. Remaining calm under pressure and not needing that constant validation, it completely breaks normal human habits, and that inevitably creates a bit of tension. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is how easily this misunderstanding happens. People might jump to the assumption that you're judging them or maybe that you're just naturally cold. But the psychological reality, it's that you possess a really rare emotional stability. Your brain's natural sensitivity to patterns is literally being misread as judgment, when in absolute truth, you're just taking the room in. You're processing it deeply. And because of that friction, you might encounter some subtle resistance or secret dislike. And this rarely looks like direct conflict. Instead, it usually pops up as a shift in energy or just a sudden lack of curiosity from someone. If you experience this, try not to fixate on just one awkward moment. Look for the repeated patterns. Does their energy always drop around you? Do they only give you minimal one-word responses? Humans are wired to unconsciously notice these tiny inconsistencies. So trust your instincts when you feel that subtle tension in the air. Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about something called the Polymath Paradox. This is a mind that completely refuses to fit into one labeled box. It's splitting its focus across wildly diverse domains: science, art, business, psychology, technology, the whole shebang. To the outside world, sure, it might look like you're scattered or lack focus, but it's actually this massive, sprawling curiosity working in overdrive. Clinically speaking, we define this as the polymath mindset. It's characterized by an incredibly strong curiosity across very different domains, basically chasing deep understanding over comfortable routine. For a polymath, learning things without an immediate practical purpose, like, deep diving into ancient civilizations at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, that isn't a waste of time, it's an intrinsic reward. Your mind loves to explore simply because the act of exploring feels incredibly satisfying.
So the crucial point is, the struggle is very, very real, because your curiosity expands way faster than your available time. It can feel incredibly restricting to constantly be told by society that you need to pick one path, especially when your mind just craves endless movement and learning. You might end up feeling like you know a ton, but simultaneously feeling like you know absolutely nothing. And that's simply because your broad exposure keeps revealing just how endlessly complex the universe truly is. Which brings us right to the core behavioral reality of high-level thinkers, cognitive adaptability. This is basically your ability to quickly adjust your behavior and your beliefs the second new information appears.
Quiet, highly intelligent minds, they willingly let go of their ego to embrace new evidence. For them, being right or protecting some fragile identity is far less important than actually adapting and learning the actual truth of the matter.
Let's break that down into daily life. Low-level cognitive habits usually look like reacting impulsively with anger or constantly blaming the system every time a mistake is repeated. But the intelligent alternative? It's engaging in deep, genuine mental reflection before you ever respond. It's critically examining your own role when things fail. The quiet mind doesn't just act on pure reckless impulse. It takes a beat to deliberately examine reality first.
There is this absolutely brilliant concept that captures this perfectly. Complexity understood deeply becomes clarity. Wow. Think about that. This is the ultimate celebration of the intelligent, quiet mind. You see, you aren't just memorizing facts so you can parrot them back later. You are processing the information so intensely that you naturally compress and simplify really complex ideas. If you truly deeply understand something, you can explain it simply.
Digging into the absolute deepest part of this mental iceberg, we find metacognitive awareness. Basically, this means you are constantly trying to understand yourself, your motives, why you think the exact way you do. While a lot of people just sort of move through life on autopilot, reacting to whatever pops up, the rare mind relentlessly self-reflects. You are constantly pausing to ask yourself, wait, why did I just react that way? Why do I think like this? It's a continuous loop of self-discovery.
Let's see how this builds, because this deep self-awareness, it builds some seriously hard-earned resilience. When panic strikes, the rare mind follows a very specific sequence. You assess reality, you adapt to the uncertainty, and then you take action. If you've survived hard battles in your past, you have absolutely developed this hidden resilience. So when massive problems pop up, you don't instantly fall apart. You've become so intimately familiar with uncertainty that what totally overwhelms other people actually feels pretty manageable to you.
These are the hidden signs that you've survived battles most people don't even know about. Your very first instinct is action over panic. You possess this deep, profound empathy because you know firsthand that everyone is fighting their own unseen battles, which makes you way less judgmental. And beautifully, you deeply appreciate the small moments of stability, just enjoying a quiet morning coffee or a completely problem-free week, things that, honestly, most others take entirely for granted. As we often find, sometimes the strongest signs of resilience don't actually look like strength at all. If you're following this explainer, you might have psychological armor that you don't even fully realize you're wearing. Your calmness, your quiet nature, that incredible adaptability. These are not signs of passivity. They aren't weaknesses. They are the hard-earned traits of someone who has weathered the storm and come out the other side so much wiser.
So as we wrap things up today, I really want you to remember this. Being quiet isn't a weakness. It is a profoundly powerful psychological profile. Seeking meaning over pure excitement, noticing the subtle details, just observing the world quietly. These are supreme cognitive advantages. You aren't lacking something that the loud people have. Not at all. You possess a depth that is exceptionally rare.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. What is one challenge that made you stronger or more observant than you ever expected? I want you to really sit and think about that, reflect on it, and more importantly, recognize your quiet mind for what it truly is, a genuine superpower. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep exploring, keep observing, and I will see you in the next explainer.